And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the monthly Rideshare podcast. This is the Roundtable, the Real Drivers Board Advisory for all things Uber and gig economy. And it dawns on me, we are 3 episodes in and we have not properly introduced ourselves. So we are going to do that and then we're going to jump into the topic. And I am Kevin, the Aptrepreneur, and I am, during my spare time, a gamer, a film critic, and chinchilla lover. And next we have Cecily. Take it away.
Hey there, guys. I am Cecily Jamila. I live in Los Angeles, and I started doing the rideshare thing as a part of just diversifying income. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. My love is design and art and acting, but you know, when a girl needs some money, she will go to the apps, and so I do a plethora of app-based economy jobs. I also do other things as well outside of that, so I try to keep it along the vein of just making money regardless of the app. But I definitely know a lot about Uber and a few other rideshare apps, and so I share all of my knowledge and wealth with you guys because I love you.
So much wealth. Wow.
I'm waiting for some of that wealth.
Are you really?
Share the wealth, Cecily.
Me too. Look, me too.
All right, Mike, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. Hey, guys. My name is Mike, a.k.a. Your Driver Mike, on YouTube across socials. I'm here in San Diego. I'm a part-time Uber and Lyft driver, signed up originally in Pittsburgh in October of 2015. We made a big move last August out here to beautiful, sunny, amazing San Diego. My day job is in sales, and that's actually kind of a new move as well. Came from a career in customer service and really wanted to capitalize on some of that entrepreneurial energy that I had, taking charge of my own income. And that translates well to what we talk about on my channel, is trying to get you guys to maximize your income. If it's rideshare, if it's starting your own business, other apps, etc. Nice to be here.
All right, and finally, Mark.
And I am Mark from the Uber Hints channel. And I was pretty excited about a month ago. I went to Fiverr.com, and who shows up but our own Drive Girl Drive, right?
Yeah,
out of 100 million Americans, her face pops up on the screen. I thought that was really cool. So anyways, I have been self-employed as well for most of my life, and I do an awful lot of travel. So I have 2 channels, the Uber Hints channel, and I also have the Average Me channel that nobody watches, but I put stuff up there because I like it.
You're right.
And yeah, well, I've seen some cool. We got some cool stuff coming up. Last week I was in Oregon, and I met a guy who lives in a 727 in the woods. A real full-size 727 in the woods. It's amazing. And I put that on my channel. And then this week I was in the Appalachians, and I picked up some honest-to-goodness moonshine, not the crap that you buy in the store shelf. And so about an hour ago, I made a video, and I was drinking the stuff. And so I'm kind of loopy right now. But I think that video is going to be up within an hour too. So if you want to see why I'm acting so goofy, and this, go to the Average Me channel and see me get drunk.
All right. Well, for the record, folks, I'm from Orange County, California. I guess I didn't realize we were saying where we lived, but
sure.
I didn't do the same thing. I am from Wisconsin. I'm the only non-Californian on this board. Yeah. So those of you in the Midwest, I like to poke fun at Chicago because I live not too far away, and they're my favorite whipping boy.
There are a lot of people's favorite whipping boy. They do some interesting things sometimes. But we're not here to talk about Chicago specifically. We are here because, holy cow, did the Uber community just blow up in the last few days. I have never had so many emails of so many people so angry. Now, before we get into what's going on, 3 of us have made videos commenting on the matter. One of us has to know. Cecily, are you aware of what's going on, and what's your opinion?
Very much aware. And of all the videos I've seen, to be honest with you, you guys are right on target. I really felt like there was nothing I could offer that was different. I mean, other than just more like, drawing up more negativity. And I'm glad that we all came together to talk about this because I want it to be more constructive. But all I have to say, Kevin, is just it's going to be a lot of cursing and a lot of negativity. And I just was not prepared to do that video. I just didn't want to do it. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. So I guess for all the listeners listening, we pride ourselves that this is a typically G-rated show, but screw it. We might lose our tempers a few times.
Right.
This is someone wrote me an email and they actually wrote that Uber they felt personally betrayed and attacked, which, I mean, some people are going to say, well, it's a corporation, you can't get, but you know what? They made some pretty big promises and they've been lying to us, and we know they've been lying to us, but boy, they rarely do they do it to our faces so blatantly.
Indeed.
And for those of you who are not aware of what happened, it was one thing that kind of turned into two, although they're two sides of the same coin. We'll talk about the first side first, obviously. And that was how, for months, drivers have been griping about one major thing, and that is the rates. When are you going to raise the rates? When are you going to raise the rates? And Uber has stated multiple times, we cannot raise the rates. It would throw the market out of balance, which I personally never believed.
Right.
Never believed that for a second. But if that's their answer, that's their answer. Well, in a couple cities, not any of ours to my knowledge, did anyone get this email on their apps?
No.
Okay,
no,
yeah.
I did
was
not.
just sent.
No.
Yeah, no, we were just sent this from people who lived in these cities, which I forgot. I think one
Like
was Miami, Florida, I think.
Tampa,
somewhere
Baton Rouge.
Florida and Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Uber announced that, in fact, does anyone have it? I almost want to read it word for word just so you can read the smugness that comes from
the email?
from it.
Nah, I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have it. Well, anyway, basically, it said that the effective March 9th, the rates were going up for the passengers. Your earnings will not be affected. We continue to raise the rates to provide a better service, have app improvements, and to make more use of your time on the road. And translation, we gave ourselves a payday and we don't think you're entitled to it.
Absolutely.
It's like the winter weather warm-ups. They're like, all right, we're going to cut rates, and you guys are actually going to make more money because passengers are going to use Uber more. Ignore the fact that you're going to have to drive more miles. Forget about that. You're actually going to make more money. That's Uber math for you.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, Uber? Let me tell you just a quick little story. I have an eBay store. For Christmas, I sold 3 Blu-rays, somewhere between $5 to $10 each, and I sold one for $80. And you know what? I made more money on the $80 one because I didn't have to ship 3 items and spend shipping on 3 items. You don't make more with less.
There you go.
There's our point.
Well, for the record, this is the third time they have raised their side of the paycheck in the past year.
Right.
They did it when they were doing increases for the booking fee. They did it when they did upfront pricing, and now they're doing it again now. So, to say that it's going to throw things out of whack is just a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a complete fabrication. Okay, well, here's the thing. If they truly believed it, they wouldn't be raising the rates for themselves. Like, somehow them getting a pay raise will not throw the market into craziness. But if we make more money, apparently that would be a bad thing. And is there a kid in the background?
Yeah, we got some background noise here.
That might be my son. He's in another room playing. Can you hear him?
I heard like a vacuum cleaner or something.
Oh no. Okay. Let me close it real quick.
Well, while she's dealing with that, I mean, I have to say, I did not think Uber could insult me more than they have in the past, and boy, they found a way to do it.
I agree.
Well, I
And
think what's interesting. Oh, go ahead, Cecily.
I was gonna say I agree in being. I feel like I get to claim that being one of the more mature drivers, or at least I'm entering that category. In all my years of working, I have never been associated with a company that has so much disrespect for the people that help their bottom line. And it's almost to a point where it's kind of like, I feel like the abused wife, where it's like, no, he really does like me. He does, because of the few things that he does for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still waiting for that moment. And it just seems like the longer that we hang on, I feel like the more disrespect we collect. I don't think we could be louder as those of us who sit here in our spare time advocate for others, but even those who are doing the work every single day and get upset and reach out to customer service, there is an overwhelming response is we're not okay with the pay, and how dare you increase rates and only pay about an average of 10 or 10 cents a mile for those who did receive any increase in pay. It's highly
Most people
disrespectful.
received a cent. And most people received a cent. And heck, the abusive husband would be better. The abusive husband buys you flowers after he beats the crap out of you to convince you that things are going to be okay. They don't even do that.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with one thing, that every one of us, as pissed off as we are right now, this did not even affect us. It's just the idea that it is so offensive. And I just love the fact that people are getting worked up. And you were kind of running to the defense of the fellow drivers that are not even, we don't know them, we're not related to them, they're in different states, but everyone's finding this so doggone offensive that it's really getting everyone's ire up. The second thing I want to say, and I mentioned this on my video too, is I think we're finally seeing the true colors of Silver Spoon Dara, and the CEO of that company has finally shown us. And he is. I'm thinking way worse than Kalanick, because Kalanick is kind of the circus clown. Everything he did was. It was out there and it was visible and people could see it. But this guy is smart and he's sneaky. And I can't wait to see what Mike thinks, because last time Mike said that he was still on.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think about that now?
So Mike, would you mind letting us know how you feel about
I did say that, didn't I? Well, the thing is like every final approval is going to come top down from Dara. And if we're seeing increases to themselves without increases to drivers, if we're seeing upfront pricing in these markets that we're talking about today that are taking more and more commission from passengers, who's approving that? That's Dara that's approving it from the top down. So it's kind of been like the honeymoon period of a month. And then shortly after that, the rhetoric went away. But if you guys remember, there was the secret recording that got leaked from Dara hyping up his team. And he made all these promises to his team internally. Well, after that fog lifted and hopefully everyone kind of turned the other way, these things are starting to come out more and more. And it's painting a bad picture, leaving a bad taste in my mouth and everyone else that's driving. So yeah, Mark, I think you're touching on a good point here, that what is really Dara doing to improve? He's not improving. He's actually making it worse.
Okay, so for all the listeners out there, last week when we asked the question, do we like Dara? I think there was 3 who were like, no, and Mike was the one holdout. Cecily, were you okay with him? I kind of forget.
I think I was on the line with him. I was in.
Okay,
yeah.
What do you think now?
I'm definitely in the same boat as Mike. At the end of the day, I feel like he is definitely aware of what's going on. He knows how we felt. He knows how we feel, and he's still moving in the direction that's not in support of the drivers. And so he's no longer in the safe box with me.
I feel like if you work at Uber, maybe this is something, I forget who commented this on a video. I think Randy actually did. And he said that Aaron Schlitkraut, who's now gone, of course, I feel like if you're at Uber, if you say anything like, hey, maybe we should help the drivers a little bit, I think you're kind of pushed out. And you
Probably.
you look down. And it's kind of like, I imagine it's a very unspoken thing. Right. Everyone kind of knows they're screwing the drivers. But, if you work at Uber, you're probably making a pretty penny yourself anyway. Right. So you don't want to lose that. So if you're that person, maybe Aaron did that. Maybe, Aaron Schlitkrau did that and that's why he's gone. But if you say, hey, maybe we should help the drivers a little bit. Maybe we should increase the rates for them too. I wonder what the reaction is.
I agree. It may be very much embedded in the culture to be very, not necessarily anti-driver, but like our needs were probably never really a part of the whole grand scheme of things. And so you're talking about a serious culture shift if you want them to actually cater to us, not only cater, but to actually deliver on some of the things that they promise. And the plans that they have in general just really don't include the few folks that go out every day and make this thing possible, to be honest with you. And I really wish that they were more appreciative of their drivers, especially the ones who've been on the platform for a long time.
I've gotten just a lot of commenters like saying, well, what did you expect them to do? They're aiming for the driverless cars. I mean, they're trying to get rid of you anyway. Why would they care about you? And on this show and in other areas, I think all of us have had conversations about our thoughts of the driverless cars. When are they going to get here? Some of those conversations have gotten pretty heated. I'm not going to lie. But if there's one thing I think we can all agree on about the driverless cars, they're not here today.
Right.
They're not here right now, and they're probably not here next year. I think we can at the very least agree on that one. So is it in Uber's best interest to be killing the workforce this way?
Right.
Well, this company pisses away money like a drunken sailor. And, they're realizing now, because they're ready to go public, they got to, clamp the catheter tube. Sorry to get so disgusting, but, so what is the easiest
way to do? A family
show.
show.
Yeah, well, it's not it's not to pay us. That's for damn sure. So
no,
I think what is happening here, Dara is a really good politician. And what he did was he came out and said, oh, tip your driver, knowing that not one red cent comes out of their pocketbook if the driver gets tipped. And yet it made him look like he was supporting us. And yet when push comes to shove and real change and real income is being affected, now we see the true colors. He's like a chameleon. Well, I don't think that he's going to be able to change back after this one. This was not a good move at all.
No. And the funny thing is, this was only part of the move. It was like Uber screwed the pooch with this. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
And then they did something worse, like less than 24 hours later. And you're all aware of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should, you should be, because you're all subscribed to my channels and we're all fans of each other.
That's right.
But they introduced in a couple cities, one of which was in Louisiana somewhere, I believe, that the surge would change. Instead of being paid a multiplier, you would get paid a flat surge. And for those of you who don't know what that is, instead of being paid a multiplier, you would be paid, it would say, oh, you will make like $5 on top of this trip. You will make $10. You will make $2. And it doesn't really matter how long the ride is. That's what you're getting. But Uber is not changing the multiplier charge in the pricing. They're still charging that to the passengers. And I reported on that. And I think somewhere there I questioned, how bad is this going to be? And somebody sent me their pay statement on what the upfront fare looked like. And it was like, it was almost like kind of like when you hear about Logan Paul's Japan videos and then you watch them and you think to yourself, oh God, this is much worse than I could imagine. I saw this receipt, made a video, and in fact, like Uberman, sent me a call, I need to use this. And I was like, yeah, and he made a video, gave me a lot of credit. I wonder if that's why I got a lot of subscribers in the last
That's cool.
hours. But yeah, we're both pissed. For those of you who have not seen either of the videos, folks, this driver took a ride that was $117.92, and Uber took from that $94. The
That
guy
is
was
a
left
shame.
with $21.
That is a shame. That is an
And the
absolute
detailed
shame.
thing showed they paid by the mile, which was 22 miles, and the time, and then they gave him a $3.50 payment in surge. I mean, so he must have been on like a 4 or 5 times multiplier at that point, and Uber just took it.
Wow.
Well, you know, I have been thinking about something. I haven't said this on my channel yet, but I think I know what their strategy is.
Well, and you like to be calm, like unlike me.
Well,
I'm very
you know what someone told me this week? You know, last time you very kindly called me the Mr. Rogers. I don't know if I should have taken offense to that or not. But you called me Mr. Rogers. Now, one guy hopped on this week and he called me the Bob Ross of Uber.
Oh, the little happy tree.
I think he was talking about our hairstyles, right? So anyway, I think what's happening here is we all know what is the average lifespan of an Uber driver. And I'm not talking about how long they live. I'm talking about how long they're on the platform. Sure, right. It floats around 6 and 7 months, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what they are doing is they figure, fine, piss everybody off. What do we care? In 6 months, it's going to be water over the dam or under the bridge or wherever the hell the water goes. And they're going to have a whole new group of people that never experienced the quote unquote good life, which was so good. It happened when they went from 20% to 25%, right?
Yes.
New people came in at 25%. They never realized the 20% because they were never there, and they were good with it. And I suspect that's what's happening now. They're just going to wait it out until they have a whole new crew of drivers in, and it's not going to matter anymore.
Yeah, but Mark, I'm going to counter that just a little bit. I do not doubt that's their goal, and there's definitely a realm of possibility they'll succeed in it, if I'm being honest. But there is a difference between a 5% difference in taking and 80%. Like, you know, people do share notes online about what they're making and what's coming out, and even new people, like, will they really be able to pull the wool over new people's eyes when they like do this long trip and they make this much and then they see the receipt and they're like, wait a minute, what happened to their $60?
Right.
But how many of them actually see what they charge a driver? All they see is their end. Unless you talk to the driver, that is not really given to us.
That's true. That's true. You don't really know how much unless you see both sides.
Yeah, that might. Yeah, that might be.
You really can't really anticipate how much you've made. Now, the reason I think, like, speaking for myself, why I get upset is because I remember what it was like when I first started. I did come in right like the month after they changed it over to the 25%. So that was one thing. But I mean, that was a time where we had bonuses where you could do so many rides and you get $500. I mean, this is just like normal. And we were offered tons of incentives to drive early on. My first 3 to maybe 5 months in doing it, and it's just something that went away and never came back around. Now, mind you, I know people that started driving after me, and they had some of this like similar opportunities to make money, but they weren't as great as ours. So I think if you go far back or further back, you'll see that those who were driving on the platform early on were really benefiting. And it will take us all having that conversation to connect it together to say, hey, if you're coming in this year or next year, you really are getting the raw end of the deal.
Well, what about the invite bonuses? Those used to be $200-$300. Now they're $50.
Yeah,
it's like,
and they're guaranteed now.
And it's funny because there is a driver out there, and I'm not trying to start anything, but he's claiming that, you know, those of us who do this are living off of our referrals and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you have no idea. Like that.
Exactly.
I think I know who that is.
Like, are you kidding me?
I will agree to that.
Yeah, like that's not a thing.
I actually, ironically, did get a referral bonus yesterday. It was $100.
Wow.
Lot different from the $500 I used to.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago, which was completely different. And not only that they used, you know, new drivers will receive really awesome bonuses as well. That was the incentive to drive. But like all of that has changed drastically. And it's been left on us to explain the changes. There's no one holding our hands and saying, this is really why this is happening. This is what's going on. We need you to hold on for a little bit. This is what's on the other side of the rainbow. It's just things change. You get an email, there's something on the app, and it's just like, deal with it, or not. I mean, there's a guy who's in our thread right now who's like, stop driving for Uber. And I'm like sitting here like, look, Uber is a great thing and it could benefit all sides. But the problem is that it's not benefiting us. And I don't think that we're wrong in saying, hey, you guys rely on us, at least for now. Why don't we make this work? There's other, you know what I'm saying?
I have a question to ask all three of you. Here we are, we make these videos and we have our channels. And I think to a person, every one of us has somewhere on our video where we have our invite code, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so are we being hypocritical, telling people, oh, this is bad, it's a bad deal, and yet, come on in and join?
Well, guys, I little I don't even know what the word is. Spoiler, I'm actually releasing a video today or tomorrow that's asking this very question. It's saying, is it worth it, or should you refer new drivers?
Mm-hmm.
And like Cecily mentioned, like a lot of us are mentioning, guys, we are not going to the bank with referral codes. I'll tell you that. Because now myself, I don't put my code in my video. I put it in the description. But I do have some referrals. And guys, just so you know, to find out how it works, when you get a referral on Lyft, it'll be a guaranteed. Now, for both of these, Uber and Lyft, it's guaranteed amounts. You drive a certain amount of rides. Uber and Lyft will pay you a certain amount until you reach a certain threshold, or pay a difference between your earnings and the promised amount. On my end, I get a per ride incentive from a Lyft driver. So depending on your market, if they're like, for instance, I have a referral that's $50 for 50 rides. Every ride that driver does, I get $1, guys.
Right.
So, but to Mark's, I'm moving away from your question, Mark. You're saying if we're hypocritical. I don't want to give too much away from that video, but it's a double-edged sword because, as we mentioned, drivers are going to sign up anyway. Versus, do we want to at least have them sign up with our code? Versus, do they even know what they're getting into? So there's
my thoughts exactly.
Or even more than that, like you can get something if you use our code. You'll get something too. There's so many people that contact me and say that I signed up and I never received anything, and some of them are even responding to ads online that say earn $12.50, earn this, earn that, and they never get it because they didn't screenshot it. And when they contact, they didn't contact the customer service rep in time, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, sorry. It's so many people that I've contacted. And so any content that I've offered that surrounds that is like, yo, let me help you get this. It's been more so like, let me help you out because I know that this is an area where you'll get screwed. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's like, I saw another kid's video who said that he knows for a fact that he signed people up and he's not getting his referral pay for it. So, I mean, I was thinking, well, that's probably what's happening to a lot of us, but that's not why I'm here.
I know for a fact it happened to me because I had a good friend sign up. And unfortunately, the only right way to sign up is if you go to our referral page. That's the only way you're guaranteed. Because he signed up and he had my code, but he said there was never a place to enter it. So as soon as he finished the sign up, he went down to the hub the next day and said, hey, I just signed up, but it didn't ask for my code. And, I'm my buddy here, and they wouldn't accept it. And I'm thinking, what's happening? Either someone at that hub is cashing in on that, or Uber's just telling them, no, don't accept it. Don't do it. And that was an out and out cheat right there. Because I know he did it.
I had a young lady tell me that she had to use my code. We had talked offline before she started, and she did the number right she was supposed to do, and they didn't pay her. And she went to the Greenlight Hub to talk to them, and the woman told her, if you heard it from a YouTuber, that's a scam. Those YouTubers are scamming you to get your money. And I'm like, the Uber Greenlight Hub is saying that we're scamming people.
The Greenlight Hub told them that.
Yes.
Whoa.
I kid you not. She said that we're scamming. I'm like, I've given you more information, more support than these people. And this woman said that it's common knowledge that we're the scammers.
For everyone watching, guys, I've been doing YouTube for Rideshare a little over 1 year now, 365 plus days, 200 plus videos. I can count on one hand the amount of completed referrals I've had.
Damn.
I can thankfully count.
I'm not doing it for referrals, guys.
I can thankfully count two hands, but I have almost 800 videos and been doing it for 2 years. So I'm glad this question got brought up. I've been contemplating making my own video on it as well. Haven't started filming it because it's something that I've given a lot of thought to. The thing is, I don't know if it's hypocritical because, I mean, it probably is a little. At the same time, there's also part of me that's thinking, you know, the vast majority of people who sign up for me, don't complete the referrals. And when they do, I've actually followed up with a couple of them. And most of them, after they got the bonus, they just quit. That's all they wanted was the bonus. So I almost see it as kind of a spiteful way to hurt Uber. Well, I'm going to tell people how much you suck, and then you're still going to have to pay me a referral code.
That's pretty fair. You know, if they go in and they complete their rides, and that's when you are the most I always say that in my videos, you're the most profitable when you're a new driver. You know, and
that's the only time you're profitable now.
Yeah. So you get that, give us money, give them money. The point I look at it, and I don't know if it's rationalizing, but Cecily, you kind of said it. They're going to sign up anyways. What difference does it make? It's no skin off their nose if they put in my code.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's no skin. And I have to say, we must be doing a pretty poor job at communicating to people what's going on if people are still signing up with our referral codes. So I kind of also use it as a measuring stick to see if I'm getting the point across.
This is true. Must not be that bad.
Well, the other thing we have to remember is we're preaching to the choir. People that come to watch us, for the most part, are active drivers anyway.
They are, yes.
Or they're active complainers. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but don't you wonder that? Why in the heck do people come and then all they do is bitch about Uber? And I'm thinking to myself, well, quit and go somewhere else. It's like they're trying. Misery loves company. They're trying to come on. Just convince everybody else how bad it is. But we're doing a lot of that tonight ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah. Yep. It's funny. Someone commented on my videos, does anyone realize that all this guy does is gripe about Uber every day and gets a lot of people to watch him? And I kind of nodded. I'm like, yeah, no, that's the American dream. Uber is the American dream.
Okay.
So
Andy Rooney made a career of it.
Yeah, he did. I made a video about McDonald's, folks. Nobody watched it. I'm trying to branch out. So I don't know. I think everyone has to personally come to grips with how they use the whether or not they feel personally in violation of their own beliefs for using the referral code or not. I definitely resent people when they say the reason I think these YouTubers are so bitter is because they don't get the referral money. That I take offense to, but otherwise you can ask that question all you want. It's a good question, especially since I felt so convicted about what Uber's done this weekend that I actually did not drive for St. Patrick's Day. I came close. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Now, I know Mike was on the fence. Mike, did you ultimately drive?
I did one ride.
No.
I did a single ride. Actually, I did a ride this morning to the airport, but that was really it. I did check the app, and this will actually be interesting to talk about, guys, and talk about why this did this. I know it doesn't make any sense, but last night, downtown and near the bars hit about 4.1. Did it do that because of demand, or did it do that because maybe less drivers were out there?
Mm.
A 4.1 is, well, let's put it this way. That's not uncommon,
right,
for St. Patrick's Day. On the other hand, I was kind of keeping an eye on the app, which was painful to do. It was like, was like, oh, it's like, don't you hate it when you just know you're leaving money on the table? Well, it never got as high as it did in the past.
Yeah, I've seen it at 9 on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know what that says. But here's the other thing that was interesting, because I live near the beach, but I still have to drive like 10 minutes to really get in a good. It was surging really high in my area, which it never does except for 4th of July. And even then, I've never seen it get to like a 4.0, where like a 4.0 on top of my house.
Right.
I don't live near anything.
My next question is, was anyone actually getting the surges? Because how many times have we seen a surge and sat in that surge zone and not actually got the ping at that multiplier?
True.
It happens more often than. And by the way, that's also one of the things, because I have fully suspected that Uber uses the data to try to, make it so that you're not. So you're not taking the surge ride. There have been times when people have called me. I know there's a surge there because I know that address. I know it was surging on the map, and it says no surge. So I've always suspected Uber manipulates that a little bit. And one of the things they changed about the flat surge to try to make it sound like it's a good thing is, hey, if you're in the surge zone, you will get a surge even if the ride is outside the surge zone, which I kind of nodded and said, you know what? In theory, that's nice. I don't trust you not to manipulate that at all.
It's not true, because I've had it happen myself.
Yeah.
That's a bald-faced lie.
Mm-hmm. So it's but like I said, it was interesting. It did not get as high as I thought it would, but then it was surging really high in areas that it never would have surged. And people have been asking me on my comments all day, and I figured this podcast would be a great place to address it. When people said, so Kevin, you and Uberman are like really into this don't drive for St. Patrick's Day. Do you honestly think that's going to hurt Uber? And my answer, I don't think I've been shy about it. It's like, no, I don't think it's going to hurt Uber, but you got to start somewhere.
True.
And I just can't support it right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember I knew it was bad when I was watching Mr. Rogers or Bob Ross here when he did a video, and he looked so depressed by what Uber had done. And it was like, oh, Mark, you look so defeated. I've never seen you look so defeated before, Mark.
I was pretty ticked off that morning. You'll notice that video went out raw. I did not have any intros, any extras. There was nothing on there. I just sent that sucker out directly from my phone.
Give us a summary of what happened, Mark.
Well, nothing particular. That news just broke, and it had kind of been simmering a little bit. Actually, it was almost a week. I think the first I heard of it is when Harry Campbell announced it.
Yeah.
Because I'm up here in Wisconsin. I don't know what's happening in Florida and Louisiana. Unless I hear about it from other sources. And it just simmered, and finally I said, "Screw it! This is the worst thing they've ever done." Now, I think that you have now stumbled upon the next part of this conversation, though, Kevin. That what are we going to do about it? Because I vacillated back and forth, and I don't believe the answer is not driving. I don't believe it's the answer at all, because we cannot get enough people on board.
Right.
We're, as much as we feel, oh my God, we've got, let's look at Randy with, 42,000, whatever he has. That is a
49.
drop in the bucket. That's nothing.
Exactly.
When you look at the whole scheme of things, and we just can't reach enough people. And even the people we reach, how many of them are really going to take action? I know what the answer is. The answer is we have to go to the press, because the only thing Uber responds to is bad PR. It's the only thing they respond to.
Well, for the record, I mean, and I've been thinking a lot about this too, and I felt this would be a good thing to discuss. I disagree. I think stopping, not driving, is a good thing, but I also have acknowledged right from the get-go, it's not the only thing. I mean, people send me emails all the time, like say, "Hey, if you could get everyone to strike for one day, it would show it." No, it wouldn't. It really wouldn't. If you want to stop driving, it has to be a little bit more long term than that. But that's one thing. But the other thing, it's like, okay, we've got a hashtag. Thank you, Uberman. The paid driver's fare. And I've been thinking, like, what could we do? It's like, I think, like, well, one of the things we could encourage is, like, first of all, everybody making a hashtag paid driver's fare video. Like, why should Uber pay the driver's fare? Now, we don't upload them whenever we want to. We make them and then we sit on them for a little bit. And we want to pick a day where we alert the press of what's going on, and on the day that we plan to protest and release the videos and everything, like, there's got to be something where we can, like, just get a bunch of stuff out and plan it for like one day, and that's like the start where we start blasting Uber, giving them bad press, and getting the media involved, getting the passengers involved.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what we have to do. I mean, the answer is pretty simple. If we can get people to do that, it's got to be more than I'm going to not drive and instead I'm going to watch a Walking Dead that afternoon. What they have to do is get their butts down to the hubs. And we've got to be like in the old days, when they would make a fuss. I mean, the Million Man March, it's one day, but it gets attention because a lot of people are out doing it. Yeah. And I think that if we're going to spend one day, what we have to do is make it a big visible day, more than just because what you don't do doesn't get attention. It's what you do. Stop driving, get out, get some picketers, get some marchers, and then call the media. Because you know what? Even if you're just 10 people make the news.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're 10 people in 20 cities, that makes news.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree with that. Like I said, I mean, first of all, I am starting by not driving. I just don't want this. I don't want this company to be getting money from me personally. That's me. But yeah, I'm going to be quite honest with my viewers. You're going to be seeing a very activist side of me in my videos in the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
Which I never thought I would say. Where it's like, guys, you want this change? You know what? Here, first of all, make a video, but don't release it right away. We're going to save that for a specific date. And on that date, we're also going to be marching at the green hubs and complaining, like doing the massive take a breaks.
And then we have to get one person in every city that, maybe we could even do it for them. But I see, this is where I have a lot of experience because I've spent 20, 30 years doing public things. I've written press releases. I've been interviewed, we got to get press releases out.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't have 7 different people sending them. It's got to be organized. Someone in each city has to send out a press release. But that's Cecily, we never said, did you get out and drive yesterday?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mike did one trip and basically everybody. Guys, I have to admit, I have never missed a St. Patrick's Day because it is such good money.
Yeah, this is my first.
My first one that I missed. I can't say it's noble though on my part because quite frankly, I had just returned from a long trip to Virginia. And I sort of wanted the rest. So I could sit back and pretend that I was supporting everyone, but it wasn't all that. Some of it was, I'm going to sit in.
Yeah. So, the morale is pretty low, as they say. So to all the listeners, we hear you, and we're going to keep discussing all these things. But I personally believe not driving is a good start. Mark disagrees. But we're definitely in agreement that if you really want it to change, you can't not drive and not do nothing. Because it was so short notice, I didn't know what else to do other than not drive. So I did a not driving for Uber on St. Patrick's Day live stream, and then I watched The Disaster Artist, and I went to bed. There wasn't a whole lot I could do, but like when I was thinking about it this morning, it's like for the next holiday, we really should be making a bigger stink. We should not only not be driving, thus raising the prices for everyone, but we should also be protesting at the green hubs and releasing the videos on Twitter, getting it trending, and getting the media involved. I mean, we just need to do a lot more than not drive. I even said in my live stream last night, like, I know this didn't do anything, but it's a start. At least for me, it's a start. Like, I kind of told myself, if I can't not drive tonight, then I've already lost the battle, because I need to be able to say no to the really profitable nights as well as the not so profitable nights.
Right.
So that's just that's me. And well, by the way, you want to know how sneaky Uber is on this whole thing? I don't know if anyone noticed this, because
you're going to tell us. You're going to tell us Uber's sneaky now.
Well,
45 minutes.
Well, magicians might like this little sleight of hand that they tried to pull, because I mean, at the Uber news, like, I always look at the news and it's like, what are the stories I'm going to talk about today? And the day after this happened, Uber actually released a press release, believe it or not. And the press release is, you know what? We thought it would be fun to share all of the strange items people leave behind in their Ubers. It's like, really? This is what you thought was going to distract us? Talking about the strange items left in the Uber cars. Unfreaking believable. I'm just...
I tell you, Silver Spoon Dara is a good politician. I have a newfound respect for him in that regard, although I think he's a despicable human being. He's not an idiot.
He's not. No, he's gotten begrudgingly deserved respect from me as well. But oh boy, do I not like him. He's crafty. And yeah, he's probably worse than Travis Kalanick. Kalanick was not a PR person. You know, Dara K is probably a lot more like Jack Valente, the head of the MPAA, and they just know how to deal with bad things. I was listening to the audio commentary of the movie This Film Is Not Yet Rated, where the director basically skewers the MPAA rating system and how useless it is. And after it's out and it's been seen, at one point he was at a party and Jack Valente was there. And he walked up to him and said, Hey, Jack, I'm Kirby Dick. I directed that movie. This Film Was Not Yet Rated, about the rating system. And Jack laughed and said, I saw that. Funniest movie I've ever seen. That's Dara right there in a nutshell. I bet if you met him, if we did a protest, he'd probably do something like, hey, I saw the play. That was entertaining. So, but hey, on that note, before we get into the Q&A, since Uber did bring it up, how about we share what the strangest item was ever left in our Uber vehicles, just to lighten the mood before we get to the Q&A.
I like it. I like that. Well, guys, I mean, I'm
going to save mine for last.
I can take that. You want to save me for last? Or I don't even have anything that great. That's the thing. Maybe I should go first.
No, I'm going last.
You're going to save yours last. Okay. Well, guys, shameless plug. I actually did a video on this very topic if you want to check out my channel later. But I haven't had anything too crazy. I mean, the oddest thing, which is why it's so important to always check your back seats after every single ride, guys. Please check your back seats. Get a little LED flashlight, turn the interior lights on, whatever you want to do. But I had a group that I took down to the bars. They had an empty handle of vodka. Plastic bottle. It was a big old handle of liquor back there. It was empty. But that was kind of the most odd thing at the time, just because I didn't check until later.
Okay, well that sounds pretty typical.
I know. Oh yeah.
Well, so far I think I'm going to have you beat, but Mark, what do you say?
Okay, a year ago on Super Bowl Sunday, I had a crock pot with a bunch of dried out cocktail weenies left in the back. And there, among others, there were about 4 things. They were drunk and they were high. That was my cocaine ride that I did the video about.
Oh, boy. And
they took off, and I didn't even know where they left to because they kind of scattered. And I thought, I've smelled something. I pulled down a block, and I looked back, and there was their whole Super Bowl picnic was in the back of my car.
Oh
They didn't
no.
take any. So there were actually 3 or 4 crock pots. So that's what was there.
Oh, no.
Hilarious.
That is
Mine's
funny.
mine's similar. I picked up a guy who had one of those like styrofoam coolers, and we had such a hard time getting it in the car. It was kind of big, left on the seat. And as I pulled up to his destination, he jumps out. I'm just looking down, looking at the app, and I realized that he left the cooler in my car, and it was a bunch of dead crawfish.
Ah.
Oh, joy.
Which is really scary. When I opened it, I was like, "Oh my god," because they were like roaches, to me. At least I
Right.
was like, "Are you kidding?" And never contacted me to arrange to pick them up, anything. I just threw them away.
All right.
Okay.
It was really weird.
Oh, maybe that'll top it. I don't know.
Could I add something to
So,
mine, though? I had an interesting backup to that.
Oh, yeah?
I stopped my car. I turned around. I thought I knew the house that they went to. And I was starting to walk up, and this girl came running down. They were, young kids in their early 20s. And so this young lady comes, and she invited me in to smoke some dope with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting follow-up. It had nothing to do with what was left behind, but had I not turned around, that invitation never would have came. I will say I turned her down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have had that.
Well, there was a girl who invited me inside to do some adult things with them that I turned them down. That's not the strange thing that was left behind.
Yeah.
I was very, very surprised. No one had ever hit on me before. And I turned them down because I don't know. I didn't want to take advantage of anyone.
Right.
What I did was I did give her my number, and I said, if you're still feeling the same way tomorrow, give me a call. She never called. So.
Oh, sweet.
I have never had that happen, doggone it. But I did have that. I did have that naked lady answer the door for her food.
Oh my god.
Yeah, one of my.
You guys.
Yeah, one time someone was in the back, and the girl was drunk, and they couldn't get her out, and she had her skirt up, and her underwear was really up, and it was like,
Oh my!
Like these are. Well, we already committed this wasn't going to be a family episode, so. Anyway, I guess I should share my strange item.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I actually kept this. They never asked for it back, and it was just so bizarre to have this left behind. I actually even. I even prayed at night many times if this was a sign about something because I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. But somebody, for some reason, left behind in the backseat of my car a brand new sealed DVD of From Justin to Kelly.
Oh my gosh.
The American Idol movie.
Jeez.
And apparently they had bought it at Big Lots, and there are 3 clearance stickers on it. It started at $3, and I guess when they finally bought it, it was 30 cents. This was left in my car.
I would have been embarrassed to ask for that back as well.
I probably would, but I kind of wonder. It was just, I don't know. It was just very, very bizarre. I've never opened it or watched it, but I still have it because it's like what else am I supposed to react?
Right.
That was just too funny. Like I didn't. I mean, I guess at least it wasn't Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
sure you were going to say some adult product was left behind when you wanted to wait till the end.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no one ever does. That's the beauty of it.
DVD
And, the funny thing is, like, people said, who would want to buy that? And it's like, you know what? I kind of want to know that myself. I mean, and like, I guess who decided at 30 cents that was worth buying?
I know.
I'd get some gum or something myself.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the
maybe
point
it was
of
a
that,
gag gift for someone.
It could have been. Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe it was. I mean, this was before the $15 return fee, which I'm now hearing Uber is reneging on in many cases. So,
jeez.
Yeah, I've got a lot of videos to make in the next couple weeks. It's pretty bad. But as cute as these stories are, Uber, it should be noted, it does not distract really screwing the drivers and just lying to us. So with that, let's segue to the viewers, because I'm sure the viewers have some interesting questions about this. So,
yeah.
Mike, I think you're officially our chat monitor guy.
He's our virtual field correspondent.
Coming to you live from the live chat window here, guys. So, guys, we're going to move it to Q&A. So we want you to post right now in the live chat if you have any questions that you want us to talk about, anything about the upfront pricing, the pay discrepancies. If you are in one of those markets that's getting more commission taken, let us know right now in the live chat here. We're going to be looking for your questions. We can talk about it here for a little bit. So let's see what comes through, guys. I'm looking in the live chat right now. There's been a lot of conversations about wild rides.
Yeah. Really, that's all they're talking about, wild rides.
Yeah, it looks like we have some. Well, hey, while you guys are posting the questions, let's say hello to some people that are in here, some familiar faces. Uber girl Paula Monterey, thanks for joining as always. I have Savage Scientist in the live chat. I appreciate you joining here. Francisco, as always. I know Francisco's on a lot of our channels. Thanks for joining here. Get some more background noise, guys. Uh-oh. Hey, Casey, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So I know someone was mentioning that driving for Uber doesn't make financial sense, is what someone said earlier. And I'm wondering, guys, is there any scenarios where Uber would make financial sense now?
Well, I think that it can always make financial sense if you're a smart driver. You know, when I drive, like all of us, I think you have to really understand your market. You have to know the right times to drive. You have to know where the traffic's going to be. There's times I shut off my driver app and I just go for the eats, because I know there's certain times, there's a 90-minute period where I'm gonna pull in $40-50 in an hour and a half doing eats. So yes, I think it can be profitable, but you really have to play it. You really have to understand, if all you're going to do is turn on the app and drive aimlessly around the city, no, you're gonna lose.
Right. And when I go at it, it's never it's my approach. Like Mark said, I definitely understand the market here. I know how much money I can make. I've experimented enough. I've done this enough. I've talked to a number of drivers. I've made friends with people just so I can figure out what they know, and I shared what I know with them. I can make this work for me. I do remember a time where it wasn't as hard. You know what I mean by that? And so I'm adjusting with that at the same time. It's, I don't really get too caught up in the fares and the this and the that. I just know how much money there's out there, how long it's going to take for me to make it, and I get it done.
Yeah. And has that changed at all since hearing about this?
Well, I mean, at the same time, it's like, when it comes down to it, I mean, my family needs something, or if I need money, I'm going to do whatever I can to make it. And Uber is not my only option. And that's something that I share on my channel. It's not the end all be all. So while you can make a quick buck this way, there are other things that you should be tapping into to make, extra income.
I might also add that it's not just, and people on my channel fight me tooth and nail on this, but you have to look at all the different avenues and the residual income, you have to look at things like the tax benefits. One person on my channel said that it took them into a completely different tax bracket. It's simply the expenses, not the money they made from Uber, the expenses that they were able to deduct. And people just hate that, because if they can't see the green cash in their hand, they don't realize the savings. And sometimes you're going to get it on the back end too.
Which I have, and I love it. Every time.
Well, adding on, go ahead, Cecily.
I was gonna say my taxes, and I've been a business owner for 20 years now, and I'm just, to be honest with you, those tax dates, those paydays are good for me, and it also, like you said, comes from proper planning and not necessarily what can I make this Wednesday, but what I can maximize not only week to week, but when tax time comes, how you can make money that way, and that's what grown-ups do.
I'm gonna share kind of a sneaky little thing that I do. I will, for example, yesterday I went to get my car washed. I had no plans to drive, and as you know, none of us did drive. But what I did, as soon as I got out of the car wash, I had nothing else to do except go home. I turned my app on and I drove home. Well, you see, as long as I am out there with my app on, ready to take a drive, that mileage is now deductible.
Yep.
Now, if I got a ping, I would have had to take it. Understand that that's the back end of this. I can't just leave it on and deny every ride and then say, pay me now because, it's mileage. But as long as I'm on the app, that is honest to goodness mileage that I spent on behalf of Uber. I was driving at that moment. And, little tricks like that, it might say, well, yeah, but that's only 4 miles or whatever it is. But 4 miles is what now? $2.16 off of next year for that one thing, just driving home from the car wash. That's $2.16 deduction that I can put on my paycheck because I was on the clock. Absolutely. Or from my taxes, rather.
Right.
Well, Clarence Sharpine in the live chat says, Mark, Uber Hints channel is one of the best channels. There you go.
That's nice.
Oh, thank you. I wish that was that would show up in subs, because I think I have the smallest channel out of the 4 people here.
Well, another question here, guys, in the live chat from Roger Blake. As of today, with this stuff, is it still a good idea to start a website and print cards and make YouTube videos if the rideshare market has matured and you guys have covered everything? I think Roger's talking about referrals, creating referral codes, or entering YouTube in the rideshare space.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's room. I can't promise.
There's a market here. I mean, I'm totally for people going into a space that already seems like it's tapped out, that's already inhabited with a lot of people. There's obviously tons of people that are moving into the space, and we all have different perspectives. When we first started this, this is before Mike and Mark joined the ranks of rideshare YouTubers. Like, there were only a few of us, and when I saw the people that were there, I was like, you guys, here's my perspective, and there was room for it. So if you have something to say, it makes more sense for you guys to be involved. It's okay for you guys to sit here and to enjoy the entertainment that we provide, but at the same time, like, I know you feel what we're saying. I know that you can definitely share your own perspective. And if there's more of us talking about this and rallying other people together, it just helps our bottom line together. I always encourage people. They say, Cecily, this happened to me. Okay, that's cool. Make a video about it. Share it, please, from your point of view. And I will help drive traffic to it, what have you. But it's just like, this space is open because we all have different experiences. And it may not be me saying something or Kevin saying something or Mike saying something that may get someone's attention. But the more that we all get involved, someone's going to start paying attention to what we have to say.
I always say there is always room for the best in any market. The best is always going to rise to the top. And if someone enters the market today, maybe you're better than everyone else in your market. Maybe you have a different spin. Maybe you're more entertaining. Maybe you're better looking. I don't know what it is, but there's always room for the best. So I would never let anything, I don't care what it is, deter you from getting into it just because there's other people doing it.
Sure. And as a follow-up, Roger says, not just for referrals, but more like an ambassador for the market. We just started in.
I like
It looks
that.
like, yeah. And here's an interesting comment from C4400 says, if you guys ever need a refinance or buy a house, doing Uber is the worst if you want to claim all these expenses. Your income shows almost zero and you're screwed. That's where I am now. You guys' thoughts on that?
See, I don't know. I was gonna kind of save this to the end, but I mean, there's some truth to that, and because, you know, Katie, if you're listening to this live, please turn away for just a little bit. But yeah, me and her have been discussing some plans with housing, and I've been looking into things, and you don't want Uber to be your primary source of income if you're looking for like a house. And
True.
that's one of the reasons why I have been making behind the scenes effort to grow my YouTube business as well as my e-commerce business more than my Uber business, because those are showing much better results, and I'm not screwing myself over. So
indeed.
Well, I'm not in the banking business, although I am in a banking family, and I can tell you they're going to look at a lot more things than how you manage to push through your income tax. You're going to look at how much money how much cash do you have on hand, how much do you have in your bank account, how much are you bringing in weekly income, what is your credit rating? You know, I mean, in those three categories, if they look at me and say, what's your credit rating, what's your bank account, and how much money do you bring in on a weekly or monthly basis, you know, getting a finance would be nothing. Also, how many other things do you have financed? You know, like right now, I am debt free. I have a house that's paid off. My car is paid off. You know, that looks pretty good to people when you're wondering, are you going to be able to make your monthly payment?
Right. Very true.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got a little debt. But I'm chipping away at it. It's almost paid off. That's the last remnants of my carefree spending lifestyle when I was 21. So, yeah. So anyway, let's hear what else. Any other questions?
We have more comments here. Uber girl Paula Monterey says, I also have other businesses and I work part-time for a company as well. I think that's really important, as we kind of mentioned here. I know a lot of us have mentioned having different revenue streams, having different plans other than rideshare. If rideshare falls off is kind of what, again, another video that I'm working on for my audience is, you know, what happens when and if rideshare falls off, completely tanks, because the way that I see it is, if you're already set up for the future, you're good because you've done the research and you have alternatives or a fallback plan. Let's say Uber and Lyft actually improve, then you're just doing doubly as well, because not only have you researched alternatives, but on the off chance that rideshare improves, you have all these revenue streams. But if rideshare falls off, you have another plan.
Well, let me say, first of all, Uber girl, she's pretty sharp. She just started, I think she just joined my channel. At least I've just seen her, if I'm thinking of the right person, just seen her starting to post on my channel. So first of all, kudos. Secondly, nothing you do is ever going to not pay off in some way. You know, if Uber completely tanks, we got this experience behind us of having been self-employed, even if it's on a part-time basis. So I think it's always a good thing to have that experience under your belt.
Yeah, it's just not the thing you want to highlight the most on your resume. Want to highlight some other things if you're going for a slightly better than usual job.
No, but I mean, I'm just talking about it's life experience. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a self-starter, like, you know, like we are, I think that there's so much more than just what you can write on that piece of paper. You know, it's what it's been doing for you personally, how you're growing as an individual, and with your knowledge, your ability, and your confidence. And we have to think of all of that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So yeah. So anyway, since I'm kind of like on the live chat thing as well, I don't see any other questions. But I think there is one question that I just remembered. I'm kind of, this is just how complicated the matter is, and I think it's worth speculating about at least. But someone asked me a question, and they're like, the question they asked is, why doesn't Lyft take advantage of this bad publicity on Uber's end?
Mm.
Which I think is an interesting question. I mean, they're a company. I'm sure they'd like to be the number one rideshare. They've certainly got a few good areas to show that Uber is bad, not only for drivers, but for the passengers as well. Why don't they do anything?
Yep.
I think they have a lot of issues too. I think that, I mean, one of the things I've seen when I do talk about Uber is Lyft drivers will come in and say, hey, Lyft does the same thing. You know, like I think sometimes that we assume that there's good and evil when looking at Uber and Lyft, and it's just not the case. And I think Lyft has been more strategic in looking at what Uber has done and said, let's go in a different direction. But at the end of the day, they want to make money too. They are looking to have a large percentage of the market share and all of that. But I just think that sometimes they have to it's between strategy, making money, public opinion, you know what I mean? So it's like their hands may be tied in a lot of ways, but they do a lot of the same things. And I've had people say that they feel like they've had, that their money has been, they haven't received referrals. Tons of people who say they haven't received their referrals from Lyft. People who say that they feel like their tips have been stolen and what have you. So
we have a funny comment in the live chat that Cecily, you're gonna love this. Anthony Pro says, my question is, instead of rotating the photos on the live chat referring to our profile pictures, can we just leave up a Drive Girl Drives picture up?
That's hilarious. That's the first positive comment I got all day. I see people talking shit here.
The new profile picture that we were talking about before the live chat started. There you go. You got some fans in there.
All right, that's nice. Thanks, guys.
Because does she want her picture associated with someone who looks like me? Probably not.
That's a different video.
But no, I've been thinking about this, and it's really starting to make me question, like, why Lyft used to innovate. Like, they're the ones who had the tipping, they had the destination filter, they thought they had the profile picture.
You're right.
They used to do a lot, and now it's kind of like, okay, there is a golden opportunity. Like, it's almost like, do you not like to make money? I know right now their whole strategy is, well, let's follow Lyft and whatever. Let's follow Uber, and whenever Uber does something and they can get away with it, we'll do it. And that's kept them in business clearly, but they haven't gotten ahead. So there's like an opportunity here where it's like even they should be able to see, oh wow, people are really going to hate them they would really hate them if we pointed this out. Yeah. So why don't they?
Bobby Thomas.
I have one reason
that really quick, and then Bobby says that he thinks that they're waiting for Uber to crash. That I didn't think about that. That could be the case.
That's possible. What do you think, Mark?
Well, my thinking is I don't think people are all that pissed off at Uber. I think drivers are. I think that riders could care less as long as they can get a cheap ride and get where they're going. The average rider is not as invested in this as we are. And so I just don't think that the average rider sees Uber as the villain.
But that's part of the question. Why doesn't Lyft do that? Because I even made a video and I kind of gave them some open examples, like Uber charges for miles that are not driven. Why doesn't Lyft have an ad campaign that points out that, see, Uber charges you for miles that you never drive? Lyft will never do that. Lyft will always charge a fair fare.
Probably because Uber is so big and they have such a deep pockets that they're afraid of repercussions, lawsuits, that sort of thing from Uber.
But it wouldn't be a lot.
I don't be my guess.
Mike, do you have a thought on this?
Well, I said in my Dear Lyft video that they are on cruise control. I'm with you, Kevin. They did have first to market features, like you mentioned, the tipping, the profile pictures for passengers, but they're in cruise control. And they've been mirroring Uber, but as Uber started to deteriorate in 2016, middle of 2016, They need to distance themselves from mirroring Uber because Uber is not doing much right, and they need to get away from cruise control. They need to have actual first-to-market features, new features, not just this. I don't even want to say this word, guys. It's going to open up a whole new can of worms. I know we're finishing up, but it's not like Uber's Express Pool marketing that as a new product. It's not a new product. It's Uber Pool with a different feature. So Lyft cannot do that. They cannot rebrand something. They need to have actual brand new first to market features.
Yeah. Yeah. The only question we can't figure out is why are they on, and it's frustrating. And I know we can't actually answer that. I mean, none of us works at Lyft, right? No one here works at Lyft.
Right.
So no one here can answer that. And I am just confused because it's like, I know that they don't have the size as Uber, but you know what? They're not hated. They're losing a lot less money than Uber is, and they're not getting any further ahead. And now there's an opportunity to point out some serious flaws on Uber's end for, you see, I think like this, if I were Lyft, I would like make 2 announcements. First of all, I would match Uber's price because you've been doing it all this time. Why stop now? But you let the drivers know that, but just to let you know, you're going to make 5% more. We're going to actually pay you more instead of Uber. Thus, you get the drivers on their hands. Then you have an ad campaign for the passengers, and you point out things like Uber charges passengers for miles that are not driven, and thus they're ripping you off, and how they will never do that. It's like, what? This seems like a good time to really get on the offensive and be aggressive in this market, and I'm flabbergasted, really, that nothing's happening. They're just kind of still like in la la land, like in cruise control, really. So that's probably another topic. We could probably discuss that topic way more in a separate podcast. But if everyone wanted to hear me say it, okay, I'm frustrated with Lyft as well. I really am, because this is the time where they should be a little different. They should point these things out. They should have a new product that Uber doesn't have, and they should actually be competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason those Disney movie ripoffs never actually make more money than Disney. Heck, a good example is when DreamWorks was trying to follow in Disney's footsteps, and they made a couple good movies like The Prince of Egypt and Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. I like those movies, for the record. But then they said, you know what? Why don't we just go completely the opposite? And they made Shrek. And look how that worked out for them. They created their own genre, for better or for worse. So why can't Lyft do something else? Be different than Uber, instead of being that thing you do if Uber's too expensive because it's surging. Stone silence. No one really has an answer.
Oh, I lost you for a second. The audio went away on my end.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I just feel like they're a little guilty. I think they're guilty, and they don't want people to start talking about them. I just, you know, even just a couple folks in the chat, like Savage was talking about how he was let go, and he has a video where he proved that they've taken more than 40%. I mean, are we surprised by that? Should we be? Like, no. These companies are doing it. I don't know why I think generally people are more, Lyft drivers are happier driving for Lyft. And I don't know if that's psychological. I don't know if if they're really getting that, because I don't drive for Lyft, so I don't know. But it just, you know, if you break it down tooth and nail, there's probably, the corruption probably exists on both platforms.
Yeah, it probably does, although, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I don't see a lot of advertising one way or the other. You know, when I think about Lyft, the only time I see any advertisement is online on videos, or, you know, if you do something like use Google Mail or whatever, you know, Yahoo might show up in a sidebar ad. I just don't see it. Now, Uber, they advertise a lot. You know, when I go to sporting events, Uber's advertising. Even in the airports, Uber's advertising. I just don't see a lot by Lyft in any kind of advertising, let alone cashing in on Uber's weaknesses at this point.
The last time I saw a Lyft ad, I think it was the Super Bowl. I was in the room, and it showed Jeff Bridges on a buggy,
Right.
horse and buggy in the desert, and I don't even know what the ad. It said Lyft. I would not be able to tell you what that ad was for if I didn't know who Lyft was. So, yeah, I don't know. So, well, anyway, I think it doesn't seem like I have any more questions, and that seems like a good place to stop. Although I will mention one more thing. I was actually talking to the rideshare professor today, and he has uploaded a new video, and I have to admit this definitely made me upset.
What?
He had a receipt for an Uber driver as well,
Okay.
and this Uber driver took a ride that was like $1,013, which those are the kind of paydays that
I saw
do
that.
happen once in a blue
Yeah.
moon.
Yeah.
They do happen once in a blue moon, and Uber took $686.
They took like nearly half, right? Yeah.
Oh, they took more than half.
And the person was
They-
paid out how much? Like 680.
No, they were paid
right?
like 300 something.
Really?
It was bad. So I actually, funny thing is, like, I had a conversation with the rideshare professor today after that video went up, and it was, I mean, I'm kind of amazed at how, I kind of feel like the ride sharing community has really come together because of this. I don't know if we can actually enact a change.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a tall order, but I've never seen the drivers come together the way they have. I've talked to Uberman way more in the last 2 days than I have in 2 years. Like, everyone's just on the same page. They're all upset. I think the only person who didn't seem to be on the same page was the Rideshare Revolution, who addressed me and Uberman and basically said that every city needed its own ambassador, and it was too short notice. I don't know. I mean, I think he was missing the overall point. It's like, well, no, this isn't gonna make them change anything. But like I said, it's a start. You gotta start somewhere. So I'm gonna start in a day where they're depending on me because there's a lot of demand.
Right.
So anyway, are there any final?
Since you're wrapping stuff
Hold on.
up, and you talked about the longest ride. Have any of you seen the YouTube video by Mr. Beast where he takes the longest ride and he hires a guy to take him from, I think, North Carolina to LA?
Oh my god.
No.
It is awesome. You got it.
Really?
This guy has nothing to do with Uber. He's a young man who has more money than he should have, and he does crazy things with it. And he hires this guy. And he says this guy spent 2 hours on the phone with his wife saying, "Is this okay for me to do?" The driver.
Aw.
It was really a fun video. If you guys have a chance,
Wow.
his name is Mr. Beast. I think it's called the world record Uber driver or something. Just on a light note, if you want to have fun with Uber for a change, that's a good place to look.
Yeah, well, we need to have those light notes because, like I said, my channel is going to get very dark. Next week. I don't know. I don't know if it's obvious, but I'm pretty pissed. I'm pretty pissed at what they're doing to us, and I'm probably most pissed about the people who, for whatever reason, feel like they can't stop driving Uber, and the reasons vary. Sometimes they just don't have anything else to do. Sometimes some of them, they got one of those leased cars through Uber or those car payment things that Uber did when they started, and they cannot stop driving because they need to pay that car. And those are the people that I feel the most upset for. Because your job is a very personal thing. And I mean, I remember when I used to work at Fry's Electronics, and basically I was threatened with termination every week if I didn't get a credit card, and it doesn't work to stress people out like that. And Uber has put a lot of these people in really bad positions, and they would be making more money doing anything else at this point, pretty much, but they feel like they can't get out of it, and Uber's preying on that. That is wrong.
Right.
So, okay, well, anyway, folks, we're going to end it on that happy note. Once again, we had Cecily from Drive Girl Drive, Mike from Your Driver Mike.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And Mark from Uber Hints.
Yes, and go to
And
Average Me and see my taste testing moonshine. You'll understand why I am how I am tonight.
oh, okay.
Nice.
And if you guys want to see a YouTube channel where someone just shows off autographs, check out Autograph Hound.
Well, hey, let me plug my new video on my okay. So on my main channel, I know, right? Since we're all plugging,
the superhero one, right?
Yes, did you see it? Okay, so I did this video called "If My Ex-Boyfriends Were Superheroes" because I'm like such into like superhero stuff right now with Black Panther and everything. So on my main channel, it's just Cecily Jamela and hell, how do I spell that for you? Jamelia. Most of you guys don't even know how to spell my first name, but I guess maybe I can. Maybe you can leave a link in the description for me.
Yeah, there you go.
I've been leaving links to everyone's channels, but I'll include a few more. So, Mike, is there anything you want to pimp while we're, being shameless about this?
Just check out the Your Driver Mike channel, guys. That's nothing else.
All right. Well, thank you. This has been another episode of the Monthly Rideshare Podcast. We will see you, everyone, in a couple weeks. Have a good day, and like, favorite, share, subscribe, flame responsibly. Have a good one.